But it's also the weird thing was, especially now because of Zuckerberg's recent statement, we now know for sure that what he was saying was that they were pressuring them to remove COVID-19 information that turned out to be true. So the government was involved in this whole thing because the government was probably being pressured by the pharmaceutical drug companies.
Yes, and even those distinctions, I think, are quaint. We are now watching the fusion of corporate power and governmental power. That is the definition of fascism. We're seeing the breakdown of individual and national sovereignty, right? What the hell is the Five Eyes? Why are the intelligence apparatus of these countries conspiring against the citizens of these countries? All of the categories that we grew up with are an obstacle to seeing what's actually functioning as our antagonist here.
Hello, gentlemen. This is a fucking important one, so I need you to listen with me, okay? I need you to stay with me to the end of this video. Bret Weinstein eloquently points out here that the democracy that we now live in is being infected by corporate powers. However, isn't that already the case? Time and time again on this channel, I've pointed out to you all that we live in a market-driven democracy, meaning the markets orient, direct, and directly dictate our economic and social policies, not the other way around. The blending of private and public forces has been a historical constant in the entire history of America. This idea actually has a name: public-private partnerships. But you probably only think of public-private partnerships to include ventures like the construction of highways or sports stadiums. But I need you all to think about this very, very differently. A public-private partnership is when a government subsidizes a private entity to go pursue a profitable thing. Some examples include like Elon Musk with Tesla and SpaceX. Both of those businesses have received and continue to receive enormous tax credits and tax breaks from the government. It's intuitive to understand what a tax break is, but a tax credit is something that is entirely different. As someone who has worked with these instruments, a tax credit is convertible to real dollars, typically between 95 to 92 cents on the dollar of the credit note's total value. Other businesses that receive such support obviously include all of Big Pharma, all of the publicly traded companies immersed in the military-industrial complex, and all of the major financial institutions following the 2008 financial crisis. This is pretty much where the whole too big to fail argument stems from. If you employ enough people and provide services to the American people, or more importantly, the American government, you will be put in a situation to be able to negotiate for such benefits, for such credits or tax breaks. It's very clear that Bret is extremely late to the party on this one, and none of what I just described is actually inherently bad at all. So what am I actually trying to tell you guys? The fact of the matter is that your power as an American citizen is not sourced where you are told it is sourced. You are told voting is your fundamental right, and that voting is your primary method for having your beliefs heard and then extended into government policies. But that is obviously not the case. Your power as an American exists in your participation in markets, namely the stock market. And all of you actually already know this. Our ability as Americans to engage in legitimate warfare against the tyrannical powers that exist in our country exists only on the stock market. That is actually what we learned from meme lords like Roaring Kitty and the overall Wall Street Bets movement. If we want our voices heard, we have to coordinate in large numbers to target, to strengthen, or weaken individual American companies that we feel either have our best interests at heart or the opposite. This is why I keep harping on the idea that the S&P 500 is the greatest indication of collective cognitive dissonance of all time. Effectively, every single American millionaire and many, many more abroad have huge portfolio allocations in the S&P 500. Today, there is roughly $45 trillion wrapped up in this index. But why am I bringing this up? What does this mean? It means all of these people are literally shareholders in a company they fundamentally disagree with. Let me ask you a question. Do you know a single person, one fucking person, who agrees with Big Pharma, the industrial military complex, big tech, the process and fast food industries, and predatory credit and financial institutions? Maybe they're cool with one or two of those, but certainly none of them. Literally no one. I've seen, and it's so weird because I've seen people literally donate millions of dollars to companies fighting the bad results caused by these companies, that they're while being literally shareholders in those companies through these S&P 500 indexes and these other financial instruments. Okay. When you own the S&P 500, you become a shareholder in Pfizer, Raytheon, McDonald's. Do I need to go on? If we want to have our voices heard, we must assemble online in a wildly more sophisticated manner than what Wall Street Bets Reddit forums showed us is possible. If enough of us can come together, we can take out any publicly traded company. I promise you this. And this is actually the only way we can take back our democracy. There is no other option. This shift in power from voting in elections to participating in markets was done on purpose by institutions like the Federal Reserve. If this interests you, okay, I hope it does. It should. I need you to hop in our Telegram or follow us on Instagram and DM us there, okay? Peace and victory. See you guys.